Okay, hopefully we are live for this evening, and we're going to be a painting live stream, and we're going to be doing the statues today. Well, tonight, I should say. We've got so things going on. I've also got the chat open as well, so I should be able to answer some questions, or if anyone wants to chat, whatever it might be. I'm going to start off with, though, I completed Marius last night. It didn't take too long. I did the base. Very, very traditional in terms of the same as everyone else is doing. Again, this is pure contrast. We use Agarost Dunes to do the mud. Basilican Grey. I can find it. Basilican Grey to do the stone. And Warp Lightning Green to do the grass. So a nice vibrant, to keep with the theme of my vibrancy. I also put a bit of Ard Coat on the gems. I don't know if you can see that. Which makes them shine, which is what I'm going to use on the statue. And also put it on the middle as well. As finishing touches. Last bit I did was a little bit of Griff Charger Grey for the scar, just to... I don't know if I'll be able to show that on the eye. I think that was it. Everything else was done. Now, the statues. I'm going to use this technique. I'm going to try this. So I'm going to be doing the top parts of the statue, and some people have done this already, but these in metallic, and then the plinths in grey, Basilican Grey. I'm going to keep the gems, the central gems on the statue. They're going to be bright colours, and then I'm going to go over the metal with red, yellow and blue. Okay, the contrast paints. I'm going to see how that looks. Hopefully it'll I want it to be really obvious which statue is which, and I want it to be a slightly different. We're going to see. So Marius is done. He's my oh, by the way, this is Templar Black contrast as well, and I've already got some white paint on it already. Fantastic. Anyway, enough about that. So, I will post... Oh, hello. Board Game Dungeon, I will be changing to full screen literally in a second. So, I just have this up so people know what I'm doing in the first couple of minutes. So, first things first. First thing I'm going to address is the bent staff. Now, people have talked about hot water, and I'm just going to show you what it is. So, let's do that from Board Game Dungeon. Your wish is my command. So, we've got here Garnet, Master of Destruction. So, this is the red core. Now, to get this straight, you really should do this before priming your figures. I've got... hopefully this is still hot enough. I've got a hot piece of water, a hot glass of water, and a cold glass of water. Now, it's thermosetting plastic, so by dipping it, I don't know if I can show that, by dipping the whole miniature, and you're probably going to me, what are you doing with your prime miniature? By dipping it in the hot water, I hope this is hot enough. It should make bending your, so you don't snap. What you don't want to do is damage the structural integrity of the plastic itself and damage it. Once you've got it in position, chuck it in the cold water. Hopefully that's cold enough. I poured these waters a little bit of time ago, and whoop. And are we happy with that? So now it's basically set in this position. Okay, think of it as having a bit like a memory. So you heat up the plastic, and you can do this all plastic miniatures, ABS and the other one, whatever the other plastic's called. You can warm it up. Don't use boiling water. You don't want to heat up too hard. Just use kind of like nearly boiled water, probably about 60 degrees centigrade, something like that, 70 degrees centigrade, and then put it in the hot water, bend it out, and then if you're not happy, go again. Chuck it in the hot water, just for a few seconds, bend it out, so maybe this kink here, and then if I can, try and keep that position while you put it in the cold water as well, because you want it to set in that position as best as you can. And in the cold water like so, and then I've got some nice fresh water. So that's what we mean by how do you straighten up your bent plastic? Use hot water. It's pretty simple, and as you can see, the prime won't come off. The prime won't come off with that probably could do with a bit more. Could do with it being a bit warmer in terms of the water, just to be able to mould that plastic a little bit more. But it's a lot better than what it was. I'm you know what, I'm happy with that. I've actually even done completely painted miniatures, like their swords or whatever, staffs, and done the same technique, and it works fine. I haven't noticed the paint come off or anything like that. Okay, so first jobs first, straightening the staff. You'll notice it's not perfect. I need to do that a couple more times. What's not helping is the way it's made. So it's got this kind of pivot point here that's obviously bending around. And that's the bit that unfortunately it's bending around. Okay, so we've got our 3 statues. Okay. Now, first of all, make sure you paint the right ones the right colours. So this is Garnet, Master of Destruction, which is destruction is the red core and the red area. I think this is these statues are absolutely fantastic in terms of their detail. You kind of want to paint them up fully on. Now, the only problem that I foresee with making them metal in a way is it's kind of been moulded like stone, with a few little divot parts where the stone's chipped. I'm still going to go with what I originally planned, because I want to see what it looks like, to be honest. I do have another set of these, which I may just do your standard kind of... but if you can see here, and this is Rigel, which is Creation, and Creation is the yellow core, okay? But you can see the little chips of the stone. So they weren't made to be metal, to be honest. But I just want them to kind of, again, just pop on the board, and so you can easily see which statue, when you pick it up, where does it go? Does it go in red? Does it go blue? Or does it go yellow? Okay, so that's what I thought I'd try with these ones. And then the final one, and you can see a lot of pitting with this one. This is Esme, which is Manipulation, which is the blue core. Okay, so first jobs first. I'm going to be doing the usual technique with lead belcher. So we're going lead belcher again. And I'm going to be painting the top lead belcher. Now, we've got yellow, which basically will come out as... So our dwarf, which is quite fitting, will basically come up as gold. Just like Maris's, it will come out just like this, which I think will be, which will look really nice. So that's going to be gold. I'm probably going to do that one tonight. I want to do the blue. We've seen Maris's sword, so the red will come out like this. And I've already knocked some of the paint off there. But the red will come up like this. So should we see what the blue will turn out like? So I'm going to use Esme, who's Manipulation, with all of her 6 arms. I'm going to give her a good painting first. Hey, Foible Games. Good to see you here. Yeah, no problem. To be honest, I just feel like I'm going to be painting anyway, so why not just live stream it? And then the beauty of YouTube is it will save it for you, so people can just go and watch it after you've done it anyway. So technically, anyone can do it, and it's really nice to, some of the paint jobs that we've seen, especially if they can be done relatively simply, and that's kind of what I'm trying to put across here, is that I don't have much time. I don't have tons and tons of time to paint, to spend hours and hours and hours painting miniatures. I just don't. So how can I do it in a relatively decent way without much time? That's what I'm trying to put across here, and that's why hopefully it's. I've just gone over the gem. Yeah, that's fine. So make sure you use plenty of water on your normal paints, of course. Even if you're painting normally. You should have them watered down. A wet palette's a fantastic tool, by the way. If you're doing traditional painting, that might be too much water. If you're doing traditional painting, definitely invest in a wet palette or make your own. A lot of people have made their own using baking sheets and tracing paper and what have you. Some kitchen roll and a Tupperware box. That's basically all you need. I got my wet palette from Amazon. I think it was about £10. I've been really, really pleased with it. It came with plenty of refills in terms of the foam pads that you can use. So I've been really, really chuffed with it. But if you want to do traditional painting, you're definitely going to need to keep those paints moist, and wet palettes are a really good way of doing that. But tonight we're going to be doing contrasts and carrying on our work with the contrast paints. And I think the idea is, especially for the new painters. By the way, thanks to everyone for all their comments, and it seems like what I'm doing is helpful, and that's the whole point of doing this, right? It's to try and give people ideas and hopefully make life a bit easier. And a few people have said they're going to maybe try the contrasts or the techniques I've been showing as their first time painting, and which is brilliant. That's exactly what we kind of want. We want people to get into the hobby. I mean, Mythic Games are known for their miniatures, right? And we don't want to see seas of grey plastic, ideally. We want to see these painted miniatures up. And any kind of quality of painting, if it's a painted miniature, I tell you, it'll look better on the board than just grey plastic. So yeah, hopefully people will get some ideas, a little bit of inspiration to go ahead and just give it a go. And as I said before in the last video, these models, they're so big, they've got such big detail, that they're great miniatures to start having a go. So, lead vulture. Oh, too scared to live stream. Just give it a go, Foible Games. Honestly, it's you know, I don't really I have shown my face and stuff on previous videos. I'm not afraid to do that, but you don't have to. You can literally do. I mean, if you're painting, it's a voice and some hands. So if you don't want people to know or to know who you are, or you're a bit camera shy, or whatever it might be, that's part of it. But I think people really. I mean, if you think about YouTube and how popular it is, people want to see not just the professionals painting and giving tips, because one of the painters I use a lot as a kind of reference, certainly when I'm doing traditional painting, is Sarastro, which a lot of people are the same. He's really, really good at kind of explaining the steps, but the level of painting is very high. To try and get it exactly the same as Sarastro, you've got to be a very, very good painter. You're going to get some ideas, and it will improve your painting, and that's the whole point. This is a hobby, and the more you practice a hobby, the better you're going to get at it. But I think people want to see some, I'm going to say some normal people painting, but you know what I mean. All levels of painting going on, and how do they do it, and how do they get their results? And especially if if you're getting people commenting on Facebook or whatever, and they want to know, how did you get to that, that result? It's I use OBS, so I'm recording through OBS Studio. It's completely free. YouTube, completely free. It's just, you just need a Gmail account. And then once you've got those two things, you're away, and you can just start streaming all you want. Stream live games, stream recorded games. Everything is on there, and there's plenty of tutorials for OBS. Anyway, I've been talking about streaming a lot rather than painting. So I'm just literally painting the silver onto the top half to kind of show the metal. Now, yeah, I mean, I suppose you can get dinks in metal, especially when we think about this game and the fact it's a brawler. So they're going to be throwing each other against the statues. They're going to be attacking each other. There's going to be a lot of damage. So I suppose it warrants the damage to the metal statues as well, to be fair. So I think it'll be fine. Subscribers, if I show my face. My cave of statue will be out this weekend. Ah, cool. Oh, sorry, right, Foible Games. Yes, of course. I thought I've seen Foible Games. So you have got videos on YouTube. That's fine. It's just about the live streaming. Ah, okay. No, don't worry about it, and don't worry about making mistakes either. It really doesn't matter. I mean, oops. I'm trying not to get saying that. I need to make sure I don't go over the concrete with the silver, because that once I put the silicon grey, it will look effectively just grey. sorry, just like a dull silver colour. So we don't particularly want that. And the other video I posted up yesterday, or was it this morning? I can't remember. I think it was this morning actually. Was just my review of the contents of the Kickstarter. So, whoops, I'm not being very careful here. Never mind. And like pretty much everyone else, really, really overjoyed with the content and the quality of everything. It's just so good. I mean, I was very unlucky to have a slightly incomplete Shuzhou, but in terms of all the rest of the content and the value of money, it's just out of this world. It's so good. So really, really chuffed with it all, and hopefully that came across in the video. Yeah, a lot of people are going to be knocking the storage solution. I mean, it is very, very big. But as I said, at least we've got one. I'd actually much prefer that than something that you can't constantly use and can't constantly put your figures in and keep them in. I'm a big person to just keep the boxes and keep figures in boxes. And again, I don't really have the time to do custom inserts and everything else. I don't want to pay half the game's cost on a manufactured insert. So I personally quite appreciate the fact that, you know, we've got those game trays myself. But yeah, they definitely could have been manufactured differently to save space in the box. And then like a lot of people have been saying, if we could have put future characters into the same box, that would have been great. So I'm going down to sorry, I should have said about brushes, shouldn't I, after saying all this. So this is a size 4. It was just, I don't know, I can't remember the name of it. So just say maple wood. It's synthetic, it's not sable brush. But then I've got my 0 size Winsor & Newton, which is my go-to brush, as I've mentioned before, to get the finer details on and try not to go over the concrete too much. But effectively what I'm doing is and this shouldn't take too long. I mean, it's a lot of area in terms of painting, but at least it's all one colour. And then once this is done, it's just basically getting the blue and just going over all of the metal with the blue, using Basilican Grey, doing all of the stone, and just using that colour again, that blue, on the gems, and then it's pretty much done. So this shouldn't take too long, he says. Okay, so just going in with these. Now, I'm wondering which character to paint next, and I'll probably, hopefully, be able to do that painting tomorrow night. So after saying take your time painting the miniatures and enjoy it, I'm enjoying it so much. I do love painting. I find it actually just a really nice pastime. So instead of watching TV or whatever at night, when my wife goes to bed, I tend to just come in here and start painting rather than watching TV. I find it really therapeutic, a bit like reading a book, I guess. It's a creative thing. I find it very therapeutically relaxing, and especially with the contrast paints, you kind of see an end result pretty soon, and that's rewarding as well. So it's got a lot of pros, you know, and it's improving a skill. So many pros. It's just, it requires patience. I think that's the only thing you need effectively is patience, especially when you start out, because, you know, miniatures aren't going to look absolutely perfect just at the start. You will need to take a little bit of time and a little bit of practice to get things going. But honestly, if you do it a little bit, it'll start to just come together, and you won't look back. How are we looking? Pretty good. Awesome. So that's the metal done for Esme. I'm not going to do those as metal. Well, no, they should be, shouldn't they? Yeah, they should be. If you think about it, a plinth wouldn't have raised edges, it'll be flat at the top. So let's just finish off by getting those bits done. Cool. And if you've seen There's a tournament being run this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I think there's still spaces available, actually. It's being run by Ash on the Discord community, but it's been posted on Facebook as well. And it's a chance to use Tabletopia, come together, and I believe Sam Healy said that it was cash prizes for the top 4, and I don't think there's even 4 people who enter the tournament, so it could be potentially guaranteed money if you join in as a potential. In fact, yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. If they haven't got 4 people by tomorrow, it's definitely worth joining, because even if you don't win, you might walk away with a little bit of money. Okay, so that's Esme done in terms of the silver. It looks pretty cool just like that. It looks, again, if you just do lead belch and you stop, it looks very plasticky. It looks like that silver plastic you get with most toys, and things like that. So we are going to go over that once it's dry. Awesome. Right. I kind of want to just keep going with Esme, but while she's drying, it makes sense to kind of go to the next miniature. So we got... I want to see how the gold comes out. This much gold. It's gonna look like the Hobbit movie, when they've got the dwarf statue hanging up in the hall, and then they spoiler alert, they melt the dwarf. Well, it's molten. Sorry, it was cast, wasn't it? It's molten gold, and then it bursts, and all the gold spurts out. It's going to look like a bit like that one, which would be quite cool. So go back to the bigger brush, the size 4. But to be completely honest, if you're doing areas like this, you can go with any brush. The size doesn't really matter too much. And let's get some more lead belcher down. Now, I run out of my my Rathbone spray today because I was prepping my tokens. Unfortunately, I only managed to do 1/2, so not ideal. I'm going to need to get some more Rathbone. I've done the traps as well. You know what? People have talked about the fact of if you spray these, you're going to know the subtle differences between like one trap to the other, and then you're going to know if it's a 2 damage or 1 damage. I mean, if I manage to paint them as uniform as possible, I'm really not going to tell that. The other thing you could do, of course, is you could get the, which I think a lot of people have mentioned they're going to do anyway. You could get, where's the trap token? Here. You could get your trap token, and what you could do is you don't have to worry what's on the underside of these. You can just place the trap token on like that. So you have these as random, put them out first, and then just literally put one of these on top of it. So it looks cool on the board, but you don't have to worry about it. And then once someone goes on that trap, you take away the trap, and then you just flip this. So you're using the cardboard tokens, but you've got the cool 3D tokens that are actually shown on the board. So I'll probably go that route, to be honest, rather than trying to spend ages and ages trying to paint each trap exactly the same. I mean, who's got time for that, right? Or eye for detail. I mean, it's a valid point in proper organised play tournaments and stuff like that, but we're probably not going to be able to use these plastic trap tokens in organised play, of course. So I don't think that's really matters anyway. You just want to make the board look as good as possible, and 3D tokens. I can't wait to paint them up and have them painted up on the board with painted characters, painted statues on that neoprene mat. It's going to be awesome. Oops, sorry. Cool. So we're just cracking on with getting Rigel painted here. I just got to be careful of this bit. This is stone, so I'll go close, and then we'll. Also, I really don't, as you notice, I don't care about these brushes. I'm literally going in here, not being really careful. I'm just going in there, smashing the paint on. I just want to make sure I get every bit of this covered in the metallic lead belcher. Sorry, so I was going to say, the next character I want to paint, I think, is going to be Solka. She's one of my favourite characters, full stop. I honestly, I keep saying this every time I do a video. She's one of my favourite miniatures, but they're all one of my favourite miniatures. Every time I get one of the other miniatures, I go, oh wow, this is my favourite now. And I get another one, I go, actually, this could be my favourite. Oh, actually, this could be my favourite. I think they've just done such an amazing job on the miniatures. The design of them, the sculpt of them, just so good. And the fact that they're kind of, what do you reckon, about 40, 50 mil? The fact they're that size, probably 50 mil, more like, makes them just so cool to come on the board. It's so, I just love it. I love it. And to be honest, I loved this game before the game even arrived. Just playing it on Tabletopia was so much fun. I was playing it quite a lot. And every single game, win or lose, was just real good fun. With the stories that you get from each game. And I think people are starting to find that now as they've got their game and they've started playing against friends, families, whatever it might be. They're starting to realise how much fun this game really is. And that's what you want from a board game, ideally. You want it to be fun. That's in the foremost, you want it to be fun. Having the aesthetics of the board game is a second, really. If the game's not fun, it's not going to last. It doesn't matter how good the stuff looks, the components look. So I'm really, really chuffed that this is getting received so well. Also, you know, it's a smaller game, so things like the rulebook seems absolutely great. There doesn't seem to be much complaint about the rulebook. It tells you everything you need to know. As I mentioned in my review, you kind of want those back 2 pages as the common things to go to, because it talks about the keywords. And the keywords, if you're trying to show your friend how to play the game, obviously just let them know firsthand that, you know, it's the first time playing. It's going to take them a few rounds to get into it. But the rules are relatively simple. What's not simple is knowing how the keywords kind of interact sometimes. And it's very hard if they're your opponent, obviously. They may not want to give away what they want to play and the tactic they want to play, which is really hard without showing you the card. So having those keywords there handy to see, they can reference that first, and if they're still not quite sure, then you can kind of go through the basic ones, like dash, for example. It has to be in a straight line. That's a common one that's overlooked. But you don't have to go the full distance, for example. Whereas fear, you do have to go the full distance, and you have to go in a straight line. But then force is just like a movement. So that doesn't have to go in a straight line. That's just like movement. But your opponent moves you, so you don't move your character. So there's lots of things, like nuances, I suppose, where you have to think about those keywords and the rules associated. To be honest, that's the difficult part. But once you get used to how the keywords play and how the characters play, which doesn't take a massive amount of games, you'll be running really, really smooth with each game, and they'll go like lightning. They can go very, very quick, the games, which is really cool, because you don't want to be playing just one game. You really want to be playing a few games, and that kind of mitigates the card draw, because one of the disadvantages of the game, you could argue, although it's part of the game, is you could just draw a really bad hand. If you get, let's say, 5 blue cards, which can happen, it's probable, it's all probability, there's a chance, then effectively you've got all of your blue cards out of the 18, all of your blue cards out of the 18 in your first hand. Now you can plan, but unless you've got a character that can plan, you're going to be planning one card. So it's really, really hard if that happens. So if you play the best of 3, it means that it kind of mitigates that disadvantage. Okay, we're getting there. Bit more lead belcher. Look at that. Oh, this is going to be cool. I'm going to make sure he's got this is all metal. So it's like this metal part of the statue just hanging down. That's going to be cool. And the anvil and stuff. Yeah. I love these miniatures. These statues. Oh, whoops. They're so cool. Now, what I would love to see, and I saw a Facebook post earlier, was someone doing a really amazing marble effect. Now, I don't think there's a quick way of doing it. I'm thinking all day of how I could potentially do a marble effect. Because I thought, for example, so a Rigel is obviously yellow, but having kind of like a yellow and white marble effect going through the whole statue would be so cool. And then a red and white, and then a blue and white marble effect. That would be amazing. And I was thinking, the way they do marble effects in a lot of painting is you basically get like a tub of white paint, and then you like a raspberry swirl, like a raspberry ripple ice cream. You get the other paint and you ripple it in, and then you dip the miniature in, and then you pull it out, and then, well, not miniature, you dip the object in, normally it's an object, you pull the object out, and then those colours kind of form these kind of swirly lines. Now that would work perfectly, but you need a hell of a lot of paint, and I don't know if it would work for a miniature with, it's not a uniform shape. So I just don't know. I'd be really interested to see any marble effect ones. That would be awesome. So hopefully some people will be able to spend the time to try and do that to come out with good results. I'll be very keen to keep an eye on that. As I said, I've got another set of statues lined up, ready to go. So I've just got to figure out what to do with those. Right, I think I've maybe a little bit down here. I've nearly done, ready to go to the smaller of the brushes to make sure I do the detail. Oh, apart from I forgot the entire anvil, of course. Stippling to it. Oh, Board Game Dungeon, is there? Right. I don't suppose you can link that on the chat, could you? If you can, that'd be fantastic. Because number one, I would love to see it, but probably other people as well. I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking marble effect statues would be a cool thing. So yeah, if you don't mind, if you can put the link on the chat, that'd be awesome. Yeah, because, obviously these statues are shouting out to be painted. And if we're talking about ease of painting, these are probably going to be your easiest miniatures to paint. So actually, if you are starting painting from real fresh, start with Start with these statues, 100%. That would be the advice. Just to kind of get the idea of how the miniature brushes work, how to get the paint on, that kind of stuff. The real basics, and then you can move on to the miniatures afterwards. So I'm really interested. Board Game Dungeon, Foible Games, are you painting right now? Because I mentioned on my last live stream, that's my favourite videos. My favourite painting videos are ones I can just put on the background and be painting myself. So I'll be really interested to know if you guys are doing the same. Okay, so we're getting there. Try and make this, try and mask the brush strokes on the very top there. It's looking good, I think. Nice. This is crazy how good these miniatures are. I just love it. Every time I'm picking it one. Nice. Board Game Dungeon is painting. Excellent. It makes the most sense because the painting videos tend to be relatively long, unless they're proper instructional videos where they're saying we do this stage and then it skips ahead and does the next stage. But when you're doing real-time painting videos, they're ideal for just painting along with. And it's cool, Why am I doing live streams? Why am I doing a YouTube channel? It's for the community. I've been part of the Discord, Mythic Games Discord channel since Joan of Arc, right way back. And the community is amazing. It's the best community out there for board games. The good place. And Mythic are know that. Leo knows that. He's constantly giving shout outs to the members of that community. And I just wanted to kind of interact a bit more with the community, perhaps on the things I really enjoy doing, the hobbies I enjoy doing. And if I can give any tips or just some ideas from myself, then that's hopefully giving a little bit back to the community. There's not much detail there. I'm just gonna have to gauge how thick that will be. That looks about right. So it's very exciting times to be a Mythic Games fan at the moment, with Solomon Kane getting close to being finished and hopefully being delivered. It'd be nice. Obviously, we had our week off of an update today. Not today, yesterday. So hopefully manufacture and everything else is going smoothly still, and we are still on target to be delivered end of November. I think they said end of November, if I remember rightly. But I believe they said that Enchanters was delayed. I don't know if that has a knock-on effect. I didn't see the live with Leo yesterday, so I'm not 100% sure. Oh man, now that is a game as well that I cannot wait to get in my hands. Oh my lord, it looks. I mean, I was lucky. I demoed it way back. I went to a convention and I got a demo to play it way back a couple of years ago, and in its first iteration, and it was so good. The cooperative nature of it, the narratively driven side of it, the fact you play these virtues that are controlling Solomon Kane or other characters, and you're trying to figure out the best way to do it in the time frame you have. You've got these ghosts coming around, these vengeful spirits, the evil, as it were, the evil spirits come in to mess with you and foil your plans. And there were very different kind of scenarios as well, where you're in a tavern and you're trying to find more information about stuff, but you haven't got enough actions, if you like, to do everything. So you've got to pick and choose who you speak to, and it's really, really, really impressive. And of course, the miniatures. Wow. I mean, if you think about the size of this is like the virtues. But my word, the sculpts of the virtues are absolutely stunning. And if you had a chance to go by the Mythic, I was going to say desk, but booth on any of the conventions, looking at their absolutely phenomenally painted by Seb Levine miniatures in the cabinet, you're just literally standing there in awe and going, my word. The miniatures, the sculpts, and the painting were just out of this world. So I cannot wait for that to come. And with all the modes that you can play it in, fully co-op, you can play it solo, you can play it competitively, effectively. It's so good. Bit for every kind of gamer and game group. Anyway, that's a different game. But like I say, exciting times for us Mythic Games fans. And then Darkest Dungeon, of course, being launched on Kickstarter very soon, in about 5 days' time, I think. So lots to be excited for, definitely. Okay, how are we looking? Bit there. How are we doing on the chat? Yeah, good. Cool. Okay. Just that bit there. So this was sprayed, by the way, this was sprayed with Wrathbone, which, to be honest, I couldn't even tell, because that's the normal colour of the plastic, and that's the Wrathbone. Because it's not white, it's like this slightly yellowy off-white, a bit like Magnolia, I think. Yeah. How often when you're painting a house and you're painting the walls of a house, you go, I don't want it to be white. It's too cold. It's too cold. Let's go magnolia. And then every time you think, wow, let's do something different. Let's do something different, and it goes magnolia, magnolia, magnolia. It's a little bit like that with Wraithbone. Cool. Okay, so that's Rigel done. Let's skip over. Let's get Marius out of the way so he doesn't get silver paint all over him. Let's have a look back at Esme and see. So once it's dried, it really does look like cheap plastic silver. Cheap silver plastic, sorry. It's... Yeah, well, to be honest, you can stop at this stage and it's better than plastic, right? It looks a little bit more interesting than plastic, but you want to be getting further than this. So, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to go straight on to go over. I want to see what this looks like before I even get onto the plinth. Call me impatient. I don't really mind. I just want to see what this effect does, and especially with the blue, because if you're going to go blue and you're going to go contrast, go bright. Look at that, Telesar blue, just like my green and my red. You're talking about bright colours here, but this game shouts for it. To me, it does anyway. It reminds me a little bit like Overwatch kind of graphics, that kind of design style. I really like that. Impatient, yeah, that's right, Andrew. Yep, you called it. Very impatient. It's like when you were young and you had Christmas presents, and then you might have had like 5 little presents, and then the big main present. Always want to go for that big present. It's like, yeah, the little ones, thank you. Well, I want the big one. And then you kind of like rush through all the little ones just to try and get to the big one. That might just be me. But yeah, I'm impatient to try. Right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Let's just pile it on and see what happens. Again, it's, you've got plenty of detail in these statues, so they're going to lend themselves well to contrast as the characters will, which is really nice. And it shouldn't use too much contrast paint, he says, because I don't know how much a contrast paint is. I think it's about £4 or £5, £4 or £5 for a contrast paint. So they ain't cheap. Look at it. Look at it. Oh, this is going to be cool. I don't know if it'll look very realistic, but it's going to look cool. I don't really care. And you're going to know... Oh, please tell me I'm doing this the right colour. Oh. I had a bit of a fright then. Thought... oh, no, is this supposed to be yellow? No, it is blue. It is blue. I've got it right. Ooh. This is the video I was referring to. Oh, cool! Thank you, Board Game Dungeon for linking the video in. That's awesome. I will definitely be checking that out later. Right, so just pile on the paint and then just spreading it around and getting that blue. And come on, guys, you wanted to see this rather than me just paint grey, right? And then you can turn it off afterwards. We're not going to see the true effect until it's actually dried, though, obviously. So that's going to be the important test. I'm just making sure I've got everything on there. Looks good. Oh, these lids! Come on. This is sweet. I mean, you don't have to worry about it being an actual realistic metal that you see statues in the real world, right? Because we're talking about Fabulosa, where the mages can do what they want. So there's absolutely no reason why they haven't created blue metal to use in their statues. to praise Esme. I think this is going to look... Well, I'll tell you one thing. One thing it will look is vibrant. If nothing else, it'll... you could argue that it might take away from the miniatures themselves, which is a valid point. Do you want the statues to take centre stage, or do you want the characters to take centre stage? So I suppose there is a bit of an argument for... Whoopsie. That's not too bad. I need to get to my smaller brush in a second. But, I don't know. Oh, right, now I need to think about pulling a little bit. So just going down the cloak. If you like, going with the grain of the metal, which is obviously a thing. Getting underneath there. Okay, cool. I think it's going to be... hopefully this will look pretty cool. Just getting rid of some of this excess paint on it. Oops. And then put it on somewhere else. That's not got paint in yet. Cool. Okay, let's change brushes. Blah, blah, blah. It's why I used... Oh, hang on, what's going on? I used it for painting my Sigma statue face in Warcry. Painting a weathered stone. Oh, the weathered stone. Oh, okay. Games work to drop it. Yeah. I mean, if you got normal, Andrew, if you got normal Citadel paints, 100% going down to dropper bottles makes a lot of sense. But if you're doing contrast, you kind of want to take it straight from the bottle. So dropper bottles, I think you'd waste some paint, wouldn't you? I imagine, because ultimately it's quite hard to tell exactly how much contrast paint you're going to use. I don't know. How did you get a red Gameswork paint hand? What this thing? Just from my local game store, hobby store. I don't know. Is it old stock? Is it out of print? Is it a rare, valuable commodity now? I don't know. I thought they only came in black. No, it is Citadel. It's definitely Citadel. You can kind of... It's the colour, actually. It's Citadel... I don't know if you can see that. Citadel colour. So it's Citadel... It's actually their contrast range. I guess why it's slightly different. Obviously, it makes absolutely no difference to how it works. Okay, so just trying to go... Just paint a little bit more concentration now, just to make sure I don't paint the stone completely blue. I'm not really fussed if it goes a little bit over it. Yeah. Okay, she's getting there. Is it a shit? Yeah, it's shit. Yeah, so I played a few games of Super Fancy Brawl against someone who had played it once before, but not much, and I decided to try and even the score. So I took a team of Marius, Kalel, and Wrath. Let me tell you, that's not a great team. The main issue they've got is they haven't got a lot of manipulation. They can't move characters away from objectives, and I got absolutely rinsed. I was hoping to make it a bit of a good experience, and it was, to be fair. My friend absolutely loved it. So much so that they went straight on to the eShop and bought their own copy of Superfan with all the extras and everything. So, I mean, that just goes to show how good this game is. Once you get people playing it, they'll be like, how do I get this? How do I get this game? And especially at the moment, they're going to get FOMO. They're going to get fear of missing out. So they're going to be getting on that eShop and going, I want all of the pretty stuff, please. Even though the retail is absolutely stunning value. So when that comes out, that's going to be brilliant. I think I've done. Excuse me. Awesome. What do you think? Bright? Oh, I missed a bit, did I? Came out last year, the world was normal. Right. Oh, there we go. Cool. Cool. Alright, Ball Game Dungeon. See you later. Don't you worry, I'll be keeping up the SFB videos, that's for sure. You waste a little transferring to droppers, but Games Watch pops cause them to dry. True. Well, they do cause them to dry out, but I've got some really old Games Workshop paints, and they haven't dried out yet. So, you know, I give them credit for that. Even though the lids aren't fully on, they're not drying out, which is really nice. However, contrast paints, wow, they do. If they've got dried paint, which is like a gel in between the things, so you're not closing them fully, I believe they will start to dry out because of the nature of what they are. Yeah, definitely, Andrew. It's there's definitely ways to make it work, and you're probably right. The wastage that you get is so minimal. Is that the bit you meant? That's the bit you meant. I missed. Thank you. See, sometimes it's really hard to see it by eye, and easier to see on the video. How much more of it? Oh my word! I've missed tons. Okay. Whoops. This is something you should never do with contrast. Is go over once they're dry. But to be honest, this should be fine. A little bit there as well. Yep, I'm just going over any bare metal parts now. And that's looking pretty good. Right, awesome. Should we see how the gold comes out? Let's go for that next. Oh, whoops. Whoops. Right, okay, I've just... Oh dear. If you get it, definitely get the neoprene mat. Oh man, Board Game Dungeon, I can't agree more. The neoprene mat for this SFB is phenomenal. The colours are as bright, as vibrant. I would say probably more vibrant than the cardboard copy, which is nuts. It's so nice, and it's so nice to play on. 100% agree. I think it's superb. Right, we're going in for gold. So by the way, the blue was, and I will start putting these on the description below, Talisar blue was the blue that I used. So we're going in with a Yandan yellow, just like I did with Marius and the gold. So let's get me big brush out again. Okay, and straight on again. And we're doing this while Esme's drying, and then we can get on with the stone effect after that, which will be fun. But I just love it. I love how this goes. I mean, when you first put it on, you go, well, I'm not sure. But when it dries, it just gives I don't want to say dull, but quite a realistic gold, especially for this style of painting and this style of miniature, I feel. Which is real nice. Okay. Hey Tom, keep it up, bud. You're able to list the supplies and paints after the video for this and Marius video. Yeah, I will do. I know I said I would for the Marius video, and I will do, I promise. It's just I got back from work today, and then it was sorting the kids out and everything else, and then I've only just managed to get back on to the computer. So I thought, you know what, I fancy doing a bit of painting, a bit of therapeutic painting, and let's live stream it and have a chat to you guys as well at the same time. It's like the best of all worlds. It's brilliant. Okay, it's looking yellow. It's good. Now, obviously, what you know, the point of contrast is it doesn't have to be all contrast. What you could do is do this kind of technique, but then put, oh wow, what am I doing? Pay attention, Tom. But what you might want to do is put like detail using different colors or different shades or whatever it might do. Mix it in with your traditional paints and all the rest of it. That's the beauty of contrast, is it doesn't have to be solely contrast. It's just if you want to make it go really fast, it's a good way of doing it. And obviously I've used lead belcher. That's not a contrast paint, of course. But I think the contrast paints just work so well over metal. They just give such nice colours, and it really does shine through. It really does. The metallic does come through, and that's the beauty of them, their transparency and what they can do, which is really cool. Okay, dwarf is coming along. Get some more of that paint. Ooh, that's a bit too much. Okay, sweet. But again, the detail in these miniatures, so good. On these statues, it's just brilliant. Let's get in there. So I'm really chuffed with this this camera holder. It's got a can I show you? No, I can't show you. It's got like a little LED halo, so it gives me a really good light, because I was just using my kitchen lights before. And now we've got the just an iPhone, so this is just being filmed on iPhone. So when I said about anyone can stream, that is so true. It just get your smartphone. You can turn it into a webcam effectively with OBS. There are a few different programs out there. The one I've got, I can't remember the name of it. It costs $9.99 for the whole year. And then it's unlimited use. If you don't pay that, it's got like a 20-minute, 30-minute view time, recording time that you can use it for. But it turns it into webcam, chuck it onto OBS, and hey-ho, you're ready to go. Pretty, really cool. I never thought in a million years I'd be doing YouTube. You know, and I'm not in this to do it as a job. This is literally because it's my hobby. It's my main hobby. I really enjoy it. And to be honest, it was this community. I just wanted to shout out to this community. So that was kind of why I did it. And also I do a lot of solo. Well, I have done at the start of the channel. A lot of solo play and solo rule sets, especially fan-made for lots of games. And so there's fan-made solo rules for things like Blood Rage, Rising Sun, which is quite crazy when you consider what kind of game it is. And they're really good. But it all started with Western Legends. So Western Legends is a cowboy game. And I really loved the game. But it had some problems, I think, to be honest. And it was shouting out for a solo mode. So I had a little look on Board Game Geek, and there were a couple, but they weren't fully fleshed out. So what I did is I kind of molded the two together, made some additional rules, and I made a solo rule set. And it's awesome. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I thought, how can I share this with the community? Because there's a really good community for Western Legends, albeit quite specialized. So I thought, well, just use YouTube. So that's where it all started. But as I said on one of my other videos, I have started developing a solo mode for this game, Super Fantasy Brawl. So all you'll need is the core game and some of the components that I'm creating. And some 6-sided dice. There's a little bit of a hint, a little bit of a clue. I'm going to be working on it for the next 2 weeks, and then hopefully I will maybe what I'll do is do a live stream play of the first version of my solo variant. But that'd be really cool. I think in the times we find ourselves in, it'd be really, really useful to have a solo version of this so that we can really play the game. Now, it's not going to be the same. I can tell you this much this time. It's not going to be as good as the normal game. I can guarantee that. But hopefully it'll be fun. But you never know. So that's going to be my fan-made solo variant. But we'll see how it goes. Oh, hang on. Ooh. Yeah, sorry, Chaos. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of video tutorials or video paint videos. That's the problem with them. They don't show you the full painting time. So if a mistake's made, you don't see how they rectify that, and that's so true. So by doing a live stream, you're effectively seeing everything that I'm doing. If I make a mistake, if I'm not happy with something, you can see why I changed it and when I changed it. And I think that's really helpful for people painting. So yeah, no, I appreciate that, and that is the point that I'm trying to do here. You know, when I do make mistakes, we're all human, right? Awesome. It needs a bit more. So Rigel is about done. Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, into that. I'll get my big brush to do that. Just done there. Nice. Tiny bit of that. Cool. Just need to get my big brush out. Yeah. Well, just this board game. No. Was it board game dungeon or foible games that were saying about the fact that I don't really want to live stream? The people I play with, I'll put it to them. Would they mind me filming? But yeah, that'd be cool. But certainly with the solo mode, 100% I'll be filming that and showing the videos. If I can get it to work, yes, of course. I don't want it to be so stupidly unbalanced that it just either isn't a challenge or doesn't work at all. Cool. Rigel is done. Right, I'm happy with my decision. I'm already happy with my decision. This is exactly what I was hoping for. I wanted it to be really obvious on the board, and I don't think it is going to take away the characters that much. But it's going to be pretty obvious which miniature is which, right? When we got this blue, and then obviously the red, it's going to be really obvious. And you can see now as Esme's starting to dry, can you see the metallic finish that's coming through? And that is literally just one coat of the blue Talisar. Yeah, really pleased with that. Cool. And then Marius character. Yeah, it's going to look all right, isn't it? I think. Obviously with the board. Yeah, true, Ash. Yeah, we'll. What is yellow metal? It's gold. So it's always going to come out more gold coloured than yellow. But wait until it's dried. It will be dull. I knew it was going to come out exactly like Marius's sword, right? So it's going to come out just like this, which is not bright yellow, but I feel it's a bright enough gold, especially when you've done the plinths in stone, and as I said, you're comparing it against the other two. But yeah, compared to the blue, I mean, the blue is like in your face blue, and this is not in your face yellow. So I agree with what you're saying. It is true, but oh no, whoops. Okay, if you do this is why you have a Wraithbone base pot. So you don't have to spray the whole miniature again. Just a little bit of this, maybe a little bit of water. And then just cover it over. Okay, so it's there for touch-ups, and it's quite important. You might need to put a couple of coats on, because the contrast paints are really, really heavy in pigment. So they take a little bit to get over. Right, should we get on with the... let's get on with the plinth for Esme. She's still a little bit wet. Paint's not quite dry, is it? I'm going to need to really hold that. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do the gems while we're waiting, and we've got the blue out. I mean, this is the problem with live stream, is waiting for paint to dry. So I suppose you could be going with 2 characters at a time, but I don't know. So just going in with the blue, and it's just this gem. I'm not painting everything. I'm just getting the gem, like pretty much everyone else has done on YouTube. I think it looks really nice. Not on YouTube, on the Facebook group. And the other side. And I'm going to be using hard coat on these to really put them out as a gem, to get that glass look on them. Cool. Just try and... yeah. Okay, so there's the gem done. Just in case you weren't sure. Now, Ash, to hopefully please you a little bit more, when we do Rygel's one, that will look yellow. Do you seal them with... what do you seal with them? Yeah, yeah, Ash is right. Well, actually, no, actually, I don't varnish my miniatures. They might say, are you mad? You spent all that time painting them, and then, well, it's not loads of time, and then you don't do it. No, I just don't. I don't. If I've got a storage solution, I've never found that the paint comes off them. I mean, I've got Marvel Crisis Protocol. I've painted them. I didn't varnish them at all, and I play with them a lot. And the paint's still on them. You know, I don't know. I think a lot of people do. A lot of people use varnish. I guess spray varnish is your best. But I've only got one varnish, which is a dropper bottle. And it's just a matte varnish. Make sure you don't get gloss varnish, by the way. Unless you want all your miniatures to look really, really shiny. But make sure you go for matte varnish. Yeah, a lot of people do varnish their miniatures. I just never bothered. I can't. Well, it's not that I can't be bothered. I just don't bother. So yeah, and also once you've sealed it, you can't go back onto it. And I actually don't like that idea. I like the idea that maybe, you know, a bit down the line, I see Marius and I go, actually, I'd quite like to just put some traditional paint on here, make the cloak pop a little bit more. So without sealing it, it means I can go back to my miniatures and paint them. And I quite like the idea of that. And I have actually done that in the past. So certainly when I was starting out, you know, when you start out painting, your miniatures aren't going to look as good as years down the line. So I have done that with miniatures before, where I painted them the first time round and they were right. You know, you could put them on the board and they look better than grey plastic. But then I come years later and I've learnt new techniques and everything else, and then you go over them and hey presto. Purity seal satin, so put thinner over the top to make it matte. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the person to ask for a varnish advice, so that'd be one to hit the community with, Chaos. I don't use it. I can't remember what the one I have is. Okay, let's get the yellow on this gem and see how that looks. Oh God, these are chunky. So a Yandan yellow again. One of the best contrast paints, along with Apothecary white. They're your two staples that you need. If you're doing contrast painting, you need those two. They are so good. Nice. It is crazy though how fast people have painted their miniatures to such a good standard as well. I'm very impressed. There we go. Bit more yellow ash, not too bad. That'll come out a bit more yellow. Okay, we've got the plinth to do on Esme. Yeah, I need to get some warmer water and do this again. It is better, but it's still not right. Just at this point here, that needs to be bent upwards. I don't want to break it. Wow. Yeah, it's just, you know, each their own. I mean, yeah, of course, your miniatures, if you don't varnish them over time, the paint is, especially on edges and so forth, they're going to wear without a doubt. But it's going to be a while before that happens. But I suppose with Super Fancy Brawl, you're going to be moving the characters a lot, so they are going to be, you know, handled much more frequently than other board games. So yeah, personal preference. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to this plinth. I think I'm happy enough to handle. Yeah. So Basilican Grey. Boom. As I said, it'll probably pool a little bit, and we'll probably see some brush strokes as well. How I've done stone before is Nuln Oil. Using Nuln Oil. Grey first, Nuln Oil, then going on there with highlighting, with lighter and lighter greys. Now this pot lid. That's kind of the traditional way, but I think was it Board Game Dungeon? I think they've posted something about weathered stone to how you get the effect going, so that could be quite cool. I'm not happy with that bit. So literally just, this lid is gonna do my head in. You're absolutely right, Andrew. Also, we've got hang on. That's weird. There's like one of these just randomly sticking out on the top. It's a bit weird. Okay, never mind. I'll leave that stone. These little bolts, I suppose you can call them. We'll do those with the Iand and yellow. We'll do them as gold. So I'll be a bit more careful when I get to that stage. But yeah, it's just a case of just plastering this on, to be honest again. And I guess not worrying too much, because it's... this is going to do my head in. Having to use a hand to open the lid is so annoying. How have they not sorted that out by now? I cannot... the biggest disadvantage people talk about with Citadel paint pots, the pots themselves, are the fact that the lids don't stay open. How have they not sorted that yet? I don't know. Now, do we want to do the sigil as gold? Hang on. No, I'm going to do it as stone. Hang on, here we go. Is your paint palette a wood cutting board? No, it was actually... No, it's an artist's board where you can cut stuff on. It's definitely not a palette. It's definitely not a palette. I know I use it as a palette, but it's not my palette. I'll go and get my what do you call it? My wet palette in a bit, and you can see what that is. Pull the lid back slightly until the center part of the back wedge is in place. Yeah, it just never. I know what you mean. I do know what you mean, but then you get into the danger. Hopefully it'll stay. You get into the danger of just too far, and then paint pot spills, and that's all of your paint all over your chopping board. So yeah, I don't know. That seems to be holding. Oops. Oh, that's right. I do want that. It's going to stay now, isn't it? And prove me wrong. Oh well, as long as it proves me wrong, I don't mind. Actually, I don't have to be too careful here because it's all going to be stone anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to put it over there. That's perhaps a bit too much paint. So let's go past here, pick up some of this paint. And it will naturally fall to the recesses. That's the point of contrast paints. Okay, so you can start to see it starting to come out already on that side. Oh, there you go. Oh. Awesome. So anyone else on the chat painting at the moment? And if so, what are you painting? Are you painting statues? Are you Chaos? I know that you haven't got yours yet, so sorry for asking that. It will be shortly. Some sticky tack help to add a bit of weight. Sorry, Ash, you're eating lunch. Are you not in the UK? Or was that you're eating your lunch now, but just not at lunchtime? Obviously. Cool. No, I'm not too fussed. I'm really not too fussed about inconsistencies. It's stone for starters, so I just don't really want huge pooling of this contrast paint on corners. I don't think it'll look too great. So just trying to spread that out a little bit. Right, let's change brushes, I think. Yep. For the rest of it, let's change brush. Yeah, no, definitely Chaos. It's the US. Cool. Yeah, they US has started collecting their getting their shipments received now, aren't they? Which is really good news. Which is actually before they estimated, right? That's kind of I thought it was the 18th of October that they were going to start shipping. So that's really good news. If it's ahead of schedule, that's cool. I don't know why I'm being so careful with this bottom bit. It's all going to be stone anyway. Right, let's get the details done. I'm not happy about that blue. Is that gonna... Oh, that'll be right. Okay, starting 19th. That's awesome. So much better when it's before the date that they've estimated. So that's really good news. Okay. I don't know about you, but I really like the white contrast to the metal. I don't know. Oh, we got no. Oh, no. We wait. So with replacement parts, we got to wait for everything to be delivered effectively, I believe, and then we can. I believe Meeple Logistics will ask for any kind of returns and stuff like that. I think. Well, I hope that's the way it works. Otherwise, I don't know how. Actually, Ash might know. Yeah, it's a shame about the Shizao, because that was to be honest, that was going to be my first miniature I was going to paint, and I, just in case I have to send it back, I obviously don't want to start painting it with one arm. Cool, but yeah. It will come eventually. Mythic Games have always been quite good at getting replacements to you, so I mean, it might take a little while. That's absolutely fine. You can still play the game with a one-armed Zhuzhou, so it's not like it's missing a base or anything like that. Or it's missing the miniature. That'd be even worse if there was no Zhuzhou. I think it'll look good once it's completely painted. I don't know. I mean, what would be awesome would be if you do the top like this, but then this would have been like white marble effect. I think that would look really cool, because I really like the contrast between the blue and the white. Well, the Rathbone is slightly off white, I know. But I think it'll be all right. Again, I mentioned this last time. Don't stop what you're doing. Wait until you finish the job, because it can always look very different once you've finished completely to when you're halfway through. That's the same for any painting, to be honest. So now I'm going to be doing these as gold. So I'm going to... Why am I being so careful? I'm going to put lead belt trophies anyway. Never mind. You learn from your mistakes. I could have literally just got the big brush and down all of that. Okay, let's just pick up some more paint. How are we doing? Right, see you girls. See you next patient. Okay. Yeah, that's probably quite important. It should be metal to break up the stone. Yeah, I thought that, but then I looked at it, and I know. Well, to be honest, what I could have done is use the same blue on the band, perhaps. I'm going to be doing these as metal, but the way that it's been done makes it look like stone again, because it's got the chips and the weathered effect. So I think it's supposed to be stone, but yeah, I could have done it the same as the top part, definitely. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it comes out once we've finished. Cool. I had a few questions actually about which character to play first when learning the game, and a few people have mentioned this already, but go with the base 6. So that's Kilgore, Dugran, Shuzhou, Darren, Gwaine, and Guldar. So go with those 6. They're pretty easy to play. No matter the kind of teams you create with those, they'll be relatively balanced. I mean, obviously you can combo certain characters together to make a stronger team, but they're really, really good, solid 6 characters to start the game with. So I'd 100% recommend those 6 to make 2 teams of 3 with, and just try and balance out the heavy hitters. Kilgore, separate. Well, you don't have to, but separate Kilgore and Dugrin perhaps, and have Shizao and Goldar as the other 2 to separate, and then Darren and Gawain. So just work on those combos, as it were. But yeah, certainly to start the game, I would suggest those, because some of the other characters are a little bit more advanced in terms of to play them fully properly. Cool. Right. Okay. I think actually now it's starting to dry. It's starting to look better. Let's do the base. I think I can hold this now. Right, so this feels like a candlestick, you know. Absolutely massive. Let's just grab a load of paint here. Get going on this. I do love that about contrast. When you first put it on, you go, "Oh my god, the brush strokes are going to show up, and it's going to look awful." But it just naturally pulls with gravity, effectively, into the recesses, and it gives you a really nice even coat. I really do like that about contrast paints, because trying to paint like flat surface won't work, of course, but just painting these ones and like that effect. It's fine. I mean, that's perhaps a bit too much paint, really. No, I said that. But just a few variants, I don't mind. And then that'll, he says. So, there we go. So I'm just going to go over those nuts, I guess, well, bolts. I go through those bolts with lead belcher. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't think I'm as happy with it not being white. It's dulled it down. I think that's my issue. I want it to be really vibrant, and it's dulled it down. It's actually made it so it'll look better on the table, to be honest, especially against characters. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, Rival's next. And what are we looking at? We're on 1.5 hours, so I might... That's still drying. I might close the stream in a minute. What are we looking at? Oh yeah, I will be. So about 5 minutes time, I'll be closing the stream. But hopefully that's given enough kind of idea of how the metallic, the contrast over metal. I do like that. I really do like that. I think that's quite cool. How that looks. And how to do it. Oh yeah, it was nice catching up with people and having a little chat. So I reckon I'll be able to... Yeah, let's do this one. Let's do Rygal's Grey, and then I will call it a night. Why did I just put the grey? Huh? Right, let's do this grey. Okay, so I think this will look quite good against the gold. Yeah, that's going to look quite cool. Now this time I'm not going to worry about these bolt heads, because I am literally going to go over them with the lead belcher, so it ain't going to make a difference. Yeah, so what do you guys reckon? Do you reckon Sulker's a good choice for the next miniature? Does the chat have any, or even comment? You can comment on what character you would like to see painted next, because you know all of the miniatures are amazing. So I'm going to enjoy painting any of them anyway, and I definitely want to paint them all. I just love it when you. Ooh, is that going to be a bit yellow? No, I think that's okay. I just love it when you start playing this game and it will have all painted miniatures in the team. Oh, it's going to be so good. It's going to take a little while. Hopefully not too long. I love the one coat wonders of contrast paints. I know I keep talking about it, but it just makes it so much easier. So once I've done this, I'll just go and get my wet palette. It's only just there. Just show you the wet palette. But the question was about this. Yeah, basically it's just to protect the table that I'm painting on. This is my kitchen table, so I don't particularly want. Certainly, my wife wouldn't want paint all over the table. And you know, and especially when you dry brush, you'll notice when you dry brush, paint gets flicked everywhere. Well, not really. That's a bit of a lie, really, because if you're doing dry brush properly, you shouldn't have much paint on your brush, but it will flick slightly onto where you're flicking it to, and it tends to be the table. So with this on it enables it to catch that. And also, I guess I do use this board as a kind of palette, as you've seen. When I did Marius, I blended the two contrast paints together on it. The problem is wood's a bit absorbent, obviously. So rather than a plastic palette, it's going to absorb the paint a bit. So not great. Oops. Oh, the other thing I'm waiting on, which has started to be delivered in the US very, very soon, is Wave 2 of was it Black Rose Wars? Oh my god, that game's so much fun as well. It's one of my favourite games, along with Joan of Arc, and now Super Fancy Brawl, definitely. I actually think that Super Fancy Brawl has now become my favourite game, from everything that it has in it. Joan of Arc was my previous favourite game, which was Mythic's first game, when they were solo, of course, a solo company. I still absolutely adore Joan of Arc. I think it's got it's really unique, and it's everything about it. The miniatures, I absolutely love the miniatures, the scale, the scenarios, the fact it's scenario based, that it's got the battle mode for a slightly different mode as well. So it's got a lot of variants. I do love Joan of Arc. But Black Rose Wars, in terms of a board game group game, I would say that's one of the best ones. Now, Super Fancy Brawl obviously is kind of blowing that out of the water a little bit, to be honest, because this is such a fun game, and you can take it to any board game group. and they're going to love it. You can do little mini tournaments and stuff like that. Obviously, when we can meet up properly again, but you know, hopefully it won't be too long before we can do that. But Black Rose Wars, you've got to not mind being very competitive. It is very much about taking out your opponents and your friends with spells in an arena. So kind of similar in Super Fantasy Brawl in the sense this is an arena battle, and it uses cards to do that. So that's similar, no dice and all the rest of it. And but you've got Schools of Magic, and the stretch goals are insane in it. The Wave 2 stretch goals are absolutely insane. What is coming from new Schools of Magic, brand new mages, and everything else, and that's being delivered in the EU on the 27th of this month, so not long now. And Wave 2 of Black Rose Wars is coming. So yeah, loads. I mean, there's so much coming through. I backed a fair amount of Kickstarters from about 2 years ago, and a lot of them are starting to come through now, which is the nature of Kickstarter. Sometimes it takes a little while. But yeah, so the rest of the content of Black Rose Wars, Street Fighter, the miniatures game, that's being manufactured at the moment, and should be soon on the boats, I believe. So that's not long off either. So plenty. The good news about the Street Fighter game is that the miniatures are already painted, which will be nice because that's not going to add to my painting queue. Still not finished Blood Rage, still not finished Rising Sun, still not finished Joan of Arc completely. I need to do the Ottomans for that. That's a bit dirty, isn't it? I think there's a bit too much paint on those. Hope this is going to... Oh, right. Okay. If you wait too long, when it's drying, this will happen. And you'll actually pull the paint off the miniature. Okay? Which isn't good. Obviously, that's not the desired effect you're after. I think by going over it like this, it's not going to work either. Whoops. This one's not dry yet. This one's not dry yet. So unfortunately, it was just that one. I think I'm pretty happy with. Let's try it. Let's try it like that and see how it goes. I wasn't happy. I put too much paint on that. Okay. So that's Rigel done. Well, not done. I've completely forgot about the crests. So let's just get that one done. And obviously, ooh, careful. And that's putting a contrast between the yellow and the grey as well, of course, which is always good. Let's make sure we've got all of that painted. So I'm not happy with that bit. Oh. Cool. Okay. Right, well done. And that's where I'm going to leave the stream. So we've got Esme. Little finger puppets. I got Esme done. We need to do Lead Beltron here and then get those gold. Or blue. I haven't decided yet. I might stick with the same blue. Yes, I'm going to stick with the same blue. I'm not going to do them yellow. That won't look right. So these are going to be the same metallic blue as this one above. And then Esme's, not Esme's, Rigel's statue will be the same but with gold. We'll see. We'll see. Once they've completely finished, I'm not massively happy about the fact that we've lost the contrast and the pop of the colour. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it's like on the board. I'm not 100% convinced. Not 100% convinced. Right, I'm just going to quickly grab my wet palette. Which, mind you, I've not used for quite a while. So this is the wet palette I've got. I'll try and find out what it is and put a link on the description, perhaps. But effectively what a wet palette does, it uses a semi-porous kind of material, like baking paper, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, or tracing paper, that allows the water to come through, but not soak it. And I've honestly not used this paint for, God, how long has it been now? I don't know. Perhaps a month. I think it's been about a month. But you can see that the colours, I mean, I don't know if I would still use this, but the colours are still being able to use. They're still moist. Now, the thinner shades where I was blending the greens, I think this is when I painted Hella. So I don't know how long ago that was. That was a long time ago. That's dried out. But you've effectively got, we go, this, like I say, this transparent layer, and then underneath that, and this is where kitchen roll can be used if you change it more regularly. But this is like cartridge paper, you know, like you would do watercolors, more oil paintings on, and it's really good at absorbing water. So it absorbs water, and then it keeps your paints moist. So certainly over a week, you can pick up the colours that you've blended together, and you want to go back onto your miniature and maybe go with a shade lighter. You've got them all ready to go the next day, or after a few days, or whatever it might be. So it's really good at keeping those. And it's just basically got a lid. Put the lid on top. That keeps it so it doesn't evaporate all the way. And people have talked about they've had problems with mould, but I've never had mould issues, so I don't know. Maybe that's the water that they're using. I don't know. I'm just using normal tap water. I don't use like distilled water or anything like that. It's just normal tap water. But they're really nice. You can blend colours together as you effectively push onto the paper itself. It picks up some of that water, and it enables it to keep it like moist paint, so it flows nice and easy on your miniatures as well. So wet palettes are for traditional painting are essential. And Nico Prime, that's why I love his tutorials on painting. Are so good. He shows you his wet palette and how he's using it as he paints his miniatures, which you rarely see that, and I think it's such an important part of the process. Like, how are you getting those colours? What are you actually doing? So to see that, I think is great in real time. But yeah, that's a wet palette. Highly recommend it if you're going the excuse me, traditional paints route. Throwing in my throat. Awesome. Okay, so that was painting the statues for Super Fantasy Brawl. Well, 2 of them anyway. Not completed either. I will get onto those probably tomorrow night and finish those off. But I really want to start the next miniature and get painting with that. I'm just loving painting these miniatures, so I want to get back to that. And I think we're going to go with Solka, but you will find out tomorrow. And to be honest, I'm probably just going to live stream everyone. It's really not much of a faff to just set up this halo arm, the light arm with the phone, and just get painting. And it gives me a chance to just natter away like an idiot. for 2 hours. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and if this is something that you're finding useful or you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and please do comment. I will try to respond to pretty much everyone who comments on. You know, this is why I'm doing it. It's for the community. It's for that community feel, and it's getting to know other super fancy brawlers and other gamers and painters, of course. So, thanks for watching, and